What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video, feeling quite a bit better. I had the ever-living crap kicked out of me this last week by whatever sickness that was, so I apologize for the compilation videos, but I'm back now. And I've got a story time that was sent in to me that I think you guys are going to love about this person's college roommate who has to have reached like massive levels of cringe. We've talked about a lot of bad roommates on this channel, but as you can tell from the title, he just thought showering was optional. It was more for losers than this guy. And I feel like basic hygiene should be basic, but for this guy's roommate, it just went right over his head. It was like it was the most complicated concept he could have ever thought of. Why would I want to smell good? From what I understand, the animal kingdom works like this. The more the ladies can smell your pheromones, the better. Yeah, maybe if we were still cavemen, bro, but these days I don't think BO is gonna be helping you out if you're trying to pick up the ladies. Anyways, I just thought it would be funny, so without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so the person who sent this to me was a little bit confused when they got to college, and for the first 3 days they were there and staying in their dorm room, they hadn't met their roommate yet. Everybody else in the dorm, there was multiple rooms to a dorm, and each person shared their room type of situation. Everyone else had their roommates there. They were starting to get to know each other. He had made friends with some of the people in his suite, but his roommate wasn't there yet. And one day he comes back from class and he sees this dude moving all of the stuff from his side of the room to the other side of the room and had a bunch of stuff that was being unpacked where his stuff used to be. And he's immediately confused because he just assumed that when this roommate got here, he was going to take the open desk and the open bed. So coming back to this guy going through his stuff and moving it all was a weird first impression. And so he asks him hey man, what are you doing? Can you not go through all my stuff and touch it? And the guy looks at him almost annoyed by his presence and is like, I don't sleep on the right side of the room, okay? I can't believe you would have thought that I would have let you sleep on this side. And right off the bat, he's not too enthusiastic about this guy being his roommate, and he says something to him well, if you would have been here on the first day, we probably could have figured that out, but you've been missing for the first 4 days of school. And his roommate looks at him and is like, is there going to be a problem for my attendance? And of course, he's like, no, I'm not trying to be your mom. I don't care if you go to school, but it's just a little rude to come in and start moving all my stuff around and saying, you can't believe I thought I was going to have that side of the room because I didn't know who my roommate was going to be. And whatever, his roommate kind of looks him up and down very judgmentally and says, sorry, well, I'm gonna be on this side of the room. And off rip, he kind of gets the vibe that this guy is going to be very, very bossy. That's probably the worst thing you could have in a roommate is someone that just thinks they're smarter than you and they should be in charge of everything. But whatever, he's trying not to make it too dramatic, so he just starts moving his stuff from his side of the room to the other. It's not that he wanted to, he just thought maybe they got off on the wrong foot, it was the first time they had met. So fine, he moves his stuff, and the entire time he's moving his stuff from that side of the room to the other side of the room, he's trying to talk to this guy. They're gonna be roommates, they're gonna live together, you might as well try to see if you have anything in common. And it's like pulling teeth without anesthetic, bro. This guy is having none of it. He's just being super judgmental. Every time that the person who sent this to me would say something about themselves, he was like, yeah, that's not what I'm into. Sorry, I'm a little more sophisticated than that. Just being insanely rude. And then at the end of the day, after they're moving all their stuff around, he says something about how he's going to design a chore chart for the dorm. And there was 8 people in the dorm, but 4 rooms to the dorm, if that makes sense, their little apartment suite thing. So he tells everyone that he's going to set up the chore chart just so they can divide chores and whatnot. And they hadn't done that yet, and he's like, all right, the guy's going to be bossy, but if he gets us organized and makes a chore chart that works for everybody, more power to him, it makes our life a little easier. So he's thinking, I might have been too hard on the guy, it was probably just a weird first impression, he might not just be sociable, but at least he's organized. And then the entire suite, the little apartment, gets a taste for just how bossy this guy was going to be and why he was so insistent on planning the chore chart himself. When they sit down and start going over this, wouldn't it be super bizarre that the person who made it isn't on it at all? It's just everyone else doing all the dishes and all the vacuuming and all the cleaning and all the stuff that sucks. And he's just got absolutely no chores. And it's obvious to everybody looking at it that he's not on it at all. It's not like they're idiots. So they pointed out to him, they're like, well, why do you think that you have to do no chores? And he does the scoff. You know the scoff when someone just can't believe how stupid what they just heard was? He does that and says, well, obviously, I put in all the hard work making the chart, so it would be unfair for me to have to do the chores too. Is that how it works? You just have to make the chart and you don't have to do any of the work? Like, so if I'm a boss, as long as I tell my employees to show up to work, I don't have to do anything other than that? That's sweet. Obviously, all of his roommates that share this apartment with him are not down for that, though, and they start telling him, like, yeah, that's not gonna work. You're gonna have to redesign this. Everyone's gotta do equal work. We're not gonna be your butlers and just pick up after you. And if you really think making the chart was that hard, then we'll make one without you. Like, don't worry. And as soon as they said they were going to make a chart without him, he starts getting really pissed off, saying that there's no way that they were smart enough to make a chart that was as good as his. And I love how he loves his chart because he doesn't have to do any of the work, you know? He's like, you will never make a chart as good as mine. Yeah, maybe for you because you don't have to do any of the work, but I guarantee you they're probably able to make a more fair chart. And it also just goes to show that he thought his roommates were stupid. Like, you guys are all in college. I'm pretty sure you're all capable of making a chore chart. I don't think that's some crazy highbrow. Oh, you don't even get to that until you've got your master's degree. But he starts getting really mad at them, saying that they're not going to change the chart. He doesn't understand why he was going to have to do any chores. Making the chart should have been more than fair enough. And he goes over, sticks it on the fridge, walks into his room, and closes the door. And I don't know if in his mind that meant conversation over. Everyone just had to go with what he said because he closed the door. So they just go up and they take the schedule down. They make their own chore chart that they put up. And he doesn't say anything about it, so they assume that he had just decided to let it go and go along with the new chore chart. And for a little bit, everything kind of goes back to normal. But that's the first impression. He doesn't want to do anything. He expects everybody else to do the hard work. He thinks he's smarter than everybody. And you would think if he's got that type of attitude, if he's going to be so insistent on a chore chart and cleanliness and making sure everything's done the right way, that he would be a neat freak. You would think that this guy's side of the room would be spotless. He would be out there like Mr. Clean himself with a magic eraser every single day from noon to 5 p.m. trying to clean stuff. But no, for someone that was so bossy and insistent on everyone else being clean, the guy was an absolute slob. Over that next week, he just like absolutely trashed his side of the room. I'm talking about piles of like food bags, you know? He would go down to the food court, get food, bring it back, and instead of throwing away the leftover trash, he would just put it all into the bag and then set the bag and stack them up. And it's not like, you know, 1 or 2 bags. I'm talking 15, 16 bags that still have food in them, just rotting away because he didn't feel like throwing it away. And it gets so bad that the bags start falling over onto the person who sent this to me's side of the room, and the smell is overwhelming. There's like flies everywhere. And that's not the only mess. He also decided to take that approach with his dirty clothes. And I feel like everyone's been in like that type of mindset before where you just throw your clothes on the ground. But if you have a roommate, you really can't do that, and eventually you gotta pick it all up, right? This guy just weeks of just clothes on the ground. And it was almost like he was wearing more clothes a day than he even should have, because over the course of a week, it looked like there was weeks of clothes on the ground. He didn't even know where all the clothes were coming from. It was just dirty clothes, and so that smell starts to stack up. I don't know if you guys will know what smell I'm going to try to describe, but you know when it just starts to smell stale? Like the entire room just starts to smell like it hasn't had any freshness in months. That's what was going on. Febreze probably could have used their room for a commercial when, like, they put the blindfolds on, they walk into a disgusting room. Do you smell anything? No. See? The power of Febreze. So he decides that he's going to ask him to pick up. He remembers the freak out he has over the chore chart, but it's getting bad. The smell's getting overwhelming. So he's like, listen, man, our room's getting really gross. I don't feel comfortable bringing people over. The smell's starting to get too much for me. Like, I can't even do my homework because my eyes are watering when I come back from class. And he looks at him and completely seriously goes, well, why would I clean up? Isn't the maid going to come do it? Yeah, not how college dorms work, buddy. I don't think the maid is on staff. So he starts explaining to him that college dorms don't have a maid. And when he's explaining that there is no maid, the look on the kid's face is like he started speaking another language. Imagine you had like a magic device in your ear that automatically translated everything, but it died halfway through a conversation with someone speaking Dutch, and you just started hearing something you don't get. Like, that's the look on this guy's face. What do you mean there's no maid? Like, what do you mean that there's no maid that's gonna come clean up our stuff? Are we supposed to clean stuff up ourselves? Like, that's what we're supposed to do? And he's completely serious when he says that. He's shocked at the fact that he might have to clean up his own room. He had never even thought about this before. The fact that one day his room's not going to just magically be clean. This guy's parents did him so dirty, he didn't even understand how his house got clean. Like, he really thought there was just some magic Harry Potter technique that just comes and picks stuff up. Everybody's just got it made. And so when he says, what, we're just supposed to pick it up ourselves, the person who sent this to me kind of confirms it. Like, yeah, we have to pick it up ourselves. No one's going to clean up after us. And he starts going off about how he's never done that before and he doesn't even know how to start. What do you mean you've never picked up after yourself before? Like, not even once? Not once ever? Even if you have a maid, let's say you're loaded. I feel like if you never pick up anything, you're just really mean to your maid. You're talking never. You just always make them pick it up. If you drop your toothbrush while you're brushing your teeth, I don't even know how often that happens. I've never done that now that I'm thinking about it, but just rock with me here. Do you just scream at your maid to come get it for you? Like, you've never cleaned anything yourself? And he's just kind of going off about how he doesn't know what to do. And the subscriber who sent this to me is like, yeah, well, I know you don't know what to do, but we got to do something because the room's starting to smell. Like, it's getting really bad. We have to clean it. And his roommate looks at him and just goes, well, I don't want to. So if you want it clean, then you go ahead and clean it. Huh? Wait, what do you mean? You go ahead and clean it. It's not his mess. He had nothing to do with making this mess and putting all this food here. That was all you. Why is it on him to just magically have to be the one to clean it? And he starts arguing with his roommate about, like, that's not fair. You have to clean your mess. And his roommate straight up just goes, no, it's going to bug you more than it bugs me, so I'm just going to wait it out. He was going full war of attrition, bro. Was just straight up hoping to outgross him. Just live in this filth to the point where his roommate got so tired of it, he was willing to clean it up so that way he didn't have to. And I feel like that's a level of petty that no one should hope to achieve. Everybody, needs to stand up for themselves a little bit sometimes. But if you're willing to let yourself live in filth just to, like, get one over on somebody, that's too much dedication. And as he's explaining this, the person who sent this to me is shocked because they just can't believe anyone would have that mindset of like, no, I'm cool living in a hoarder house as long as I don't have to clean it. I'll live in it until someone else does. And what's crazier is he goes through with it, dude. He just increases the grossness. Now he's leaving even more food in the bag, so the smell's getting worse, It's getting really, really gross in the room, and he just doesn't care. It's like it doesn't faze him, and I don't know how you could do that. I've let my room get pretty bad before, but, I feel like once there's rotting food and flies and you're just cool with it, it's too far. It's borderline chemical warfare at this point. I feel like this is against the law. Oh, come on. You can't, make your roommate have to deal with this because you don't want to clean it up. And so for the next week after that, he's just hoping one day that his roommate's going to have to break. He doesn't want to have to clean it all, but at the same time, it's getting to the point where he's considering cleaning it because he just can't stay there. He literally started staying at one of his friends he had made, at their dorm, and when he wasn't able to stay there, he was just sleeping in the couch in the living room of their apartment. He literally could not stand being in his room anymore. It got that bad. And on top of that, now he just stops bathing altogether. So you got the trash, you got the clothes. He's just not bathing at all. So he's starting to reek. And he was an athlete. Not for a really important sport at the school, but it doesn't matter. He's doing regular physical activity, coming back, taking off the sweaty clothes, throwing them on the ground, not washing them, not washing himself. So it just starts getting disgusting. And once he stops showering and the BO gets so overwhelming that the entirety of the apartment is starting to smell like BO, all of the roommates decide to sit him down and be like, dude, you gotta take a shower. This is getting out of control. You're approaching a week without showering. You're working out every day. It's too much. The trash is already disgusting. The clothes are gross, but you not taking care of your hygiene at all is too far. And instead of being like, okay, you guys are right, I feel gross, I haven't showered in a while, I was just trying to outgross my roommate, he starts getting defensive about it, being like, well, 7,000 years ago we never showered. That's correct, man. That's true, because showers didn't exist. I promise you, if 7,000 years ago there was a really easy way for people to take a long hot shower, they would have done it. For sure. It's dope. It just wasn't an option. And even then, it's not 7,000 years ago anymore. You know what I mean? It's just not. We can look at that and go, yep, that's how they lived back then. Good thing we don't have to do that anymore. It's not the medieval ages, dude. We're not fighting the bubonic plague and we go take a bath once a year in the river, right? Like, there's no reason to be doing that anymore. And he starts going off on this rant about how real alpha males don't have to bathe because his scent was natural and his natural scent was going to attract strong people only. And if people weren't able to handle the alpha male scent, then it just meant that they weren't alpha males. Which is a crazy conclusion to jump to. You didn't shower for a week, so you're an alpha male. And people that don't like the smell of you are not alpha males. All right, man, I don't understand how you're connecting these dots. I don't understand where on the chart these things all got connected, but that's what he's screaming at everybody, is that they don't have to bathe because he's an alpha male. And if they don't like it, they're just admitting that they're weak. Like, I don't think it's weak to say you don't like smelling bad. Hey, man, do you wear deodorant? Oh, you're so weak, bro. What is that? Weak sauce. You got some weak armpits. You're putting deodorant on those bad boys? I don't think anyone would like that. 7-day-old BO is not charming. It doesn't make people think that you're dominant, bro. It just makes people think that you're weird for not showering at all. And his rant culminates about how they shower, and obviously, look at them. If they shower and that's how they are, then showering is for losers. Hey, man, you know what they say. Hygiene's for losers. If you've ever taken a shower before, this guy thinks you suck. Just a really weird thing to, like, pick to say people are a loser about, you know? Like, hey, oh, you shower, loser? It's just such a normal thing. Is anyone not a loser other than this guy? Is this like a movement that I've missed out on? I don't really pay attention to the internet much anymore. I just kind of make my stories. But, like, is there a movement of people just saying that showering is bad? I missed that one. If you're a part of that movement, don't be. Just take a shower. But the roommates decide that they're not going to let him keep doing that, so they're going to go to the housing administration and talk to them about it. And it's not like they wanted to snitch. They didn't want to get the guy in trouble, but what? You're going to blame them for going and telling that, like, this roommate is just letting food rot, not showering, doesn't care, screaming at his roommates? So he goes to the housing office and they start explaining the situation. And it's not that they don't believe that there's a roommate that's being annoying. But I'm sure when you work at a housing office at a college, people come in complaining about their roommates, and maybe they make it sound way worse than it is. I'm sure that happens. So they're hearing this, and they're like, okay, sure, all right, we'll come check it out. And let's be honest, would you believe it? Your job is dealing with this stuff all the time. Somebody comes in saying a guy's letting food rot and refuses to shower to prove to his roommates that he's more alpha than them. So they come to look, and the lady walks into the apartment, and she's like, it just smells like a boys' dorm room. And they start going towards their room where all the mess was, and you can tell her face is getting more and more pale. And the door opens, and the lady in charge of the housing department gets a whiff of the smell coming out of the room, straight up turns around, runs to the bathroom, and starts dry heaving into the toilet. And you know you've reached a level of gross that is pretty bad if people are taking a whiff of your room and then almost having to vomit. Everyone in the apartment had gone, like, not nose blind to it, but not vomiting over it because they had smelt it before. But the fact that it was bad enough to make most people gag opened their eyes to just how bad it had gotten too. And so they go into the room and the roommate's gone. And they don't know where he went, but there's a note on his desk saying, like, you guys can clean this up. I'm leaving. You know, it was almost like when he realized that they were going to the office to report him, he knew they were probably going to kick him out anyway, so he decided to get the jump and leave. All of this for a stupid mind game to try to make his roommate clean up, and now he had to, like, abandon his dorm room. And so the staff starts looking at everything, and they can't believe the state of it. And what's crazier is it's like half the room. The person that sent this into me, their room had obviously been, like, affected, but there's not trash everywhere. It's not that bad. So just the room is horrible. They end up having to move this guy out of that apartment because the room was so bad. They had to rip everything out and do the carpet, the walls, everything. It was so gross. And so he got moved into a new apartment, and his old roommate definitely was no longer allowed to stay at school housing and had to pay for the entire repair. Thankfully, the housing people were super apologetic. They were like, we have never seen a dorm room that bad. We're so sorry about that experience. And they gave him a discount on his housing for the rest of the year. And yeah, overall, man, I feel like that level of petty is not something you want. And just shower, bro. I don't understand why people are obsessed with, like, being alpha. Like, it's just kind of weird to me, dude. Just, like, exist. I don't know why you need to care what other people think you are. You get what I'm saying, but it's especially not quote-unquote alpha to not shower, bro. Just shower. Just shower. Alpha, beta male, data male, whatever, gamma male, I don't care. Just shower. I don't feel like this guy really won, though. I feel like having to pay for the repairs and the room and board in a room you're not allowed to stay in anymore is not worth it, even if you technically won the petty off and grossed out your roommates to the point where they had to go snitch on you. That was definitely a pretty gross roommate, though. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate y'all taking a second to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments section down below. And of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on those notifications. I post videos like this really often, so you should be sure to subscribe and turn on noties if you haven't already. And if you like these, but you'd rather listen to the audio version offline or whatever, I do post them on Spotify. You can find that link down below. And yeah, on that note, guys, that'll really do it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Go clean your room. And hopefully I'll see you guys all next time with another video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace.